to introduce to you James Roberts.
Of 3 ways to keep your New Year's resolutions. David, thanks for jumping on. And obviously the first one is the goal of losing some weight. Second, the goal getting more sleep. And third but not least, quitting procrastination. So without fail, I'll jump straight into it. Obviously the big tip for the first one, and the first one being getting to losing some weight, and I'll put some context into that, is obviously by a chef that's come out with a new book. So he would obviously have some tips and tricks to spice it up in terms of way, and I'll give some counter arguments to it as well. And obviously he's a big advocate for going bigger on flavor and not just lighter on calories. Don't be scared of using too many herbs. Just throw it in there: chopped parsley, lots of basil, chives. Tom Kerridge is a big low calorie flavor enhancer. Include fried mushrooms, liquid aminos, which I'm gonna have to Google myself because I don't know what they are, pickles, and preserved lemons. He also advocates blowtorching meat and veg for a delicious char instead of frying in oil. To counteract that, should I say, obviously he would have sat down with a nutritionist or a dietitian, because he's not a trained professional. And obviously what I advocate towards people that come work with me or come to speak with me is obviously going against what has become the conventional way of eating in terms of restricting your diet to obviously something that's going to be a little bit more unconventional in terms of the actual thought process with it, because I get people to lose weight and still eat foods that they enjoy. So ultimately, yes, you can go down the route of looking to enhance your food, because obviously if you enjoy what you eat, you're likely to ultimately have the results to go with it. So I'm a big advocate of what he's saying in terms of that. But obviously from a personal perspective of being an athlete, and this is where food is very paramount, being is for fuel. So people need to not forget that as well. If it tastes nice and ultimately get you to function properly, it's a win-win. So jumping on to what is number 2, and getting more sleep. Obviously people were out of routines in terms of the Christmas holiday. And this is from expert Nick Littlehales, who I've also had on my podcast, which I'll tag the link to that episode in the comments. And he's worked with British Cycling and Manchester United, among others. And his tip is to reset your chronotype to fall asleep earlier. It starts with consistent waking up time, and even on weekends, sleeping in doesn't catch you up on the sleep that you've missed. Plus, you need as much sunlight as you can in the morning, and in the winter, you'll need to stimulate light. So try to eat early and train before work. It'll pay dividends come bedtime. And the final point, and the last one but not least, obviously is very poignant in terms of actual resolutions, is the goal to quit procrastination. And this tip is probably the easiest of all 3, and probably the most important. Be specific about when and where you intend to carry out tasks. For example, you won't repaint the hallway sometime this month. You'll repaint it from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. next Sunday. When it comes to creative tasks you're postponing, give up the concept of inspiration too. If you want to write a blog, sit down and write every weekend without fail. Even if you feel you have nothing to say, routine is the key to success. And ultimately, with all 3 of these in mind, obviously routine and consistency is very much paramount. Once it becomes repetitious and instinctive, you'll do it without fail. It's the same with dieting, weight loss, fat loss, whatever you want to call it. Same with sleep cycle. Once you get into routine, the argument goes, you obviously don't need an alarm clock. And obviously with the procrastination, once you instinctively get into a routine and obviously very much plan in the course of planning out your week to be as meticulous as you need it to be, procrastination won't come up. You either do it or you won't do it based on its priority. So